In this video, I present to you an unbiased Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, using only evidence and proof that we've gotten directly from Scott Cawthon himself from the games and some books. This is everything you need to know about FNAF. Don't forget to quickly scroll down, subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, scroll back up, and enjoy! Sometime in the 1970s to 80s in Hurricane, Utah, Fazbear Entertainment was founded by two entrepreneurs, William Afton and Henry Emily. Which really quickly I want to point out, these aren't the only two people working in the entire business throughout all of these years. There are definitely unnamed employees in the background of these locations. These two engineers created a diner called Fredbear's Family Diner. The diner would have probably been completely, absolutely fine on its own, but they came up with an idea of springlock suits. These were a two-in-one type of suit, one side being that these suits can be wearable costumes by employees, by the springlocks holding the endoskeleton in its folded position, allowing employees to be inside. But another side to these suits is that they can be animatronics performing for customers automatically by having its endoskeleton in its usual position. Although, quick disclaimer, too much water or moisture inside of the suit while it's in its folded position may cause it to spring into its usual/performance position. The first two springlock suits they created were Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, both with a golden and purple color code. This location was probably successful with a new invention of these springlock suits, so Fazbear Entertainment created a new location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. This location featured four animatronics, Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Bunny, well, Rabbit, Chicky the Chicken, and Foxy the Pirate Fox, all with an Endo 01 version of the endoskeletons. This caused them to create the Fredbear and Friends TV shows, and Toys and Masks, both based on the animatronics. Around this time, Henry created an animatronic called Security Puppet, created purely to help protect his daughter Charlie, just in case anything goes awry. But one night, the Security Puppet was trapped inside of its box by a group of bullies, bullying Charlie by leaving her outside. This night, William Afton, not gonna assume his motives by the way, murders Henry's daughter Charlie in the back alley of... where? Fredbear's or Freddy's. Although not 100% confirmed, it seems as though Charlie was killed at Fredbear's Family Diner, thanks to the ultimate guide written by Scott Cawthon himself, mentioning so. But either way, William drives away from his first murder, while the Security Puppet goes outside to Charlie, only for her to be given new life, possessing the puppet animatronic. Sometime after this, William Afton wants to kill more, so he creates circus-themed funtime animatronics and puts them in his own location, Circus Baby's Pizza World, under his side company Afton Robotics. His daughter Elizabeth seemed to fall in love with Baby and wanted nothing more but to see her with her own eyes. But William wouldn't allow her to do so, as these funtime animatronics were made to specifically lure, capture, then kill children. In order to help them do this, Circus Baby has an internal ice cream dispenser, Ballura has deter and misdirect remote activation, Funtime Freddy has both group coordination and voice mimicking, and finally Funtime Foxy has parental voice replay and variable scent release. Although being told not to, one day Elizabeth goes to see Circus Baby.
Where did the other children go?
She realizes she's on her own, only for Baby to capture her, murdering her in cold blood. This would lead Elizabeth to possess Circus Baby. This incident caused William to close Circus Baby's Pizza World. William's youngest son has a massive fear of the animatronics, his brother Michael tormenting him night after night. He ends up having his birthday party at the diner with other kids being invited as well. Which, by the way, it seems like he didn't organize himself, as the day of the birthday party he's seen literally crying on the floor, only to be picked on and picked up by Michael and his friends. They carry him to the stage and put him inside Fredbear's mouth as a joke, and they're all laughing, but their laughter ends as soon as Fredbear bites down and crushes his skull, eventually causing the death of the bite victim, causing him to possess Fredbear and causing Fredbear's Family Diner to close. Now there's only one location open, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are retired to this location, put into a safe room from any regular employees. William is just out of his mind at this point, so he gets into the Spring Bonnie suit and murders 5 children at the pizzeria. And not all at the same time, by the way, because he murders a girl with blonde hair named Susie by luring her away from the arcades, claiming her dead dog is still alive and to follow him. William stuffed these children into the main 5 animatronic suits. Gabriel gets put into Freddy, Fritz gets put into Foxy, Susie into Chica, Jeremy into Bonnie, and finally Cassidy into the Golden Freddy, who at this point is a rundown Fredbear suit. This became the infamous missing children incident, but the puppet, now possessed by Charlie, ends up giving new life to the children, making them possess the suits their dead bodies inhabit. And I just want to point out real quickly, we aren't too sure how the spirits work, but it seems like some just possess the animatronics like the core 4, but some others are more powerful, like the puppet being able to give new life, and Golden Freddy teleporting and doing unnatural things. But anyways, back to Fazbear's Entertainment, and they shut the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria after an abundance of children went missing. A few years later, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, but new, opened. Fazbear Entertainment decided to let the old withered animatronics reside in the back room, and they just
use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know? And the smell.
dead kids. It's literally the smell of dead kids. Anyways, this new location featured a new variation of our favorite characters, this time as toy animatronics. These toy animatronics featured the new Endo 02 endoskeletons. They had new advanced mobility that allowed them to walk around during the day, and finally they also had a facial recognition system. This location also introduced Balloon Boy and featured the return of the puppet from the previous location. Once again, Golden Freddy and Spring Bonnie were also here, just in the safe rooms. Throughout only a few weeks' time, kids just couldn't behave themselves and kept tearing Mangle apart, staff having to put them back together every shift.
Eventually they just stopped trying and left him as some kind of take apart, put back together attraction.
One day, William took the Spring Bonnie suit from the back and killed another 5 children, leading them to possess the toy animatronics. Thanks to the second missing children's incident, the toy animatronics
Have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive toward the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare.
This is when the infamous Bite of 87 occurs, killing the day shift security guard, causing them to lose the frontal lobe of their brain, making the day shift available, leaving Jeremy Fitzgerald no reason to be there during the night. Just to pause here for a second, Jeremy Fitzgerald is highly likely to be an alias for Michael Afton, although it's not actually confirmed. But we can assume Fritz Smith is Michael Afton because he is fired for the same reason of FNAF 1's security guard, who we know as Michael. More on that in a second. So it would kind of make sense, although just letting you know now that it's not confirmed. Technicality aside, Fazbear's Entertainment decided to close the second Freddys because of this incident, scrapping the new toy animatronics completely, destroying their endos and unwillingly freeing the children's souls, only keeping their animatronic shells, which we'll see later. Fazbear Entertainment had hopes of reopening someday with a much smaller budget, only keeping the original characters. Reopen they did with another Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, only with a main for animatronics. This location was smaller with the corresponding budget. Michael Afton worked as a night guard under the alias Mike Schmidt, but in late 1993 the company was running out of money from their already small budget, and after a year-long search for any buyers, companies were unwilling to be associated with Fazbear's Entertainment due to its history. This is when the final Freddy's shuts its doors. But Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, an underground location founded by none other than the murderer William Afton, opens up a while after
the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
The fun times would be rented out for private parties during the day, which is why they require a technician to get the robots back in proper working order before each following morning. The oldest son, Michael Afton, is sent down to this location to find and put Elizabeth back together from Circus Baby. It is worth pointing out that it's unsure how or why, but William seems to have full knowledge of Baby being possessed by his daughter, and with that knowledge, William begins experimenting with Remnant to make the other fun times alive. But quickly, what is Remnant? Well, the simplest answer I can give you is that Remnant is the aftermath of the souls of the children mixing into the metal, which that metal is then melted and conserved in a container of some kind. And then later on, that liquid is then injected into the animatronics to make them become sentient and self-aware. However, if the temperature is too high, the Remnant is destroyed and its effects are neutralized. Anyways, William snuck into the most recent, yet now abandoned Freddys, and began dismantling the main 4 animatronics night after night, stealing only a few parts of their endoskeletons. Not the entire endo, by the way. In fact, he outright leaves the shells behind in order to get parts of the original missing children's remnant and then injecting the fun times with it. He goes back to probably retrieve his Spring Bonnie suit, we aren't sure, only to be trapped inside the safe room by the spirits of the missing children. He gets into his Spring Bonnie suit to either regain their trust / trick them, or an attempt to frighten them, we don't know. But thanks to the water leaking from the roof and the moisture in the air, the spring bonnies fail, causing the suit to spring from its folded position into its usual position, impaling and crushing William from the inside. Back to Michael, and he's found Elizabeth, more so Circus Baby, and she herself explains how she murdered his sister, but it seems as though she doesn't actually know who Elizabeth was. By the time Michael went down for his 5th night, all the fun times scooped themselves in order to form the remnant amalgamation known as Enard. Michael was tricked into the other side of the scooper and Enard activating it, scooping Michael with the remnant machine, removing his organs and literally clearing out his body in order for Enard to enter it and take control. Think of it in this way: the animatronics have an endoskeleton and a shell. Enard is the endoskeleton and Michael's body is the shell. Have fun with that thought. But before we continue, I need to mention the fact that Circus Baby now knows about Elizabeth and remembers it thanks to being injected with Scooper's remnant earlier that night.
Circus Baby has already been here today.
And we know she remembers because ever since this event she mentions
Daddy,
remembering William and
isn't this why you came here? To be with her again?
showing Baby knows Michael and his intentions. And finally, Baby mimics Elizabeth's voice to try and trick him.
Isn't this why you came here? To be with me again.
All this to show that Circus Baby is now aware. After Enard took control of Michael's body, they left the underground and finally stepped outside with their own free will. They walked around using Michael's body, but in reality he's dead. They've removed his organs. He's just a walking puppeted corpse. So his body began to decompose more and more, until eventually the body must have been unusable and Enard just left Michael's body. But thanks to the remnant injection and encouragement from Baby? I really don't know if that did anything, but it seems like she just wanted her brother to survive, which further proves that she now knows about Elizabeth and the connection they have, but I really don't know if that even helped reanimate his corpse. Michael now possessing his body instead of inhabiting it. Enard had escaped into the sewers, and the multiple spirits ended up having an argument with each other. But Laura, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy decided to kick Circus Baby out of Enard. The running theory that Baby was being too controlling as the strongest spirit, but anyways, this causes Baby to become independent as Scrap Baby, and the remainder of Enard becoming Molten Freddy. Anyways, Michael was just kind of wandering around for a while,
living in shadows.
but he kept having nightmares during this time, probably due to his regret and guilt of unintentionally murdering his brother. And we know that his mind wasn't playing nice on him in the slightest. He hears the phone guy's call from his time at Freddy's. He saw ivy drips and flowers, much like the ones he probably saw in hospital. He sees nightmarish and murderous versions of the core animatronics, and the animatronics would attack him the same way they would while he was a security guard. But honestly, it's been a long time since the Freddy's location was opened. So in 2023, 30 years after the last ever Freddy's was shut, Fazbear's Fright opened up, a horror attraction put inside of an amusement park. This location was based on the events and rumors of Freddy's past, and for the owners to cash in on the franchise's reputation. They found a bunch of old animatronic parts to put into their location, and after scavenging the abandoned locations, they eventually found Springtrap, who was inside the boarded up safe room. Does Springtrap look familiar? Yep, it's our good old William. This means two things. One being that William and his suit have been running away and stuck in that dark safe room for 30 years with no hope of escape. The second being that they're dumb. They're just stupid because now William's back. But don't fret, because our good old Michael, who somehow hears of this location, comes to work at the location as a security guard for what honestly seems like the third time at this point. Michael ends up successfully burning Fazbear's Fright to the ground, trying to finish William off. Eventually, the owners went and sold anything they could salvage from the fire at a regular public auction. Oh, Henry, I forgot about him. He's been a bit distant from the franchise since his daughter died, but he's back. He created a new location called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, luring the remaining animatronics to the building using a device called Rask. But wait, where's the puppet and who is this? Henry created an animatronic called Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract, or Lefty for short, in order to lure the puppet out, catch it, and transport it to the location. After finally having all the animatronics trapped and Michael in the building, Henry sets fire to the entirety of the underground system, destroying all of the animatronics and freeing all of their souls. Freeing Michael from, well, his own body, freeing Elizabeth from Scrap Baby, Charlie from the puppet, the missing children's spirits from Molten Freddy / the Fun Times, and finally wishing the literal worst for William Afton, freeing himself in the process. One event I wanted to quickly acknowledge is Happiest Day, which you might have realized I missed earlier, but that's because, to be honest, that can be moved to take place after FNAF 3's or FNAF 6's fire. All it really changes is the meaning. Putting it after FNAF 3 shows the main parts of the missing children's spirits resting with the puppet masks falling slower, hinting at unfinished business, but putting it after FNAF 6 shows the missing children and the puppet resting once and for all. Not much difference as you can tell, so where it takes place is really just up to interpretation, but no matter what, the missing children are now freed, besides probably the most powerful spirit, Golden Freddy, which at this point had two spirits inside of it, Bite Victim and Cassidy. And here in Happiest Day we only see Bite Victim's spirit being released, meaning there's one spirit left from this entire franchise, Cassidy. Cassidy traps William in a prison of his own creations. Whether that's purgatory or an endless nightmare is unsure, but she keeps him there, tormenting him endlessly, until she's talked to by Old Man Consequences, which we have no idea what that is. Like, what is he? Telling her to go and rest and leave the demons to his demons. Cassidy within Golden Freddy twitches away, fading into the darkness. Whether that's representing her still being unwilling to rest by twitching, or representing her finally resting with her fading away is unsure. Speaking of unsure, we don't know how long after the FNAF 6 fire this occurs, but Fazbear Entertainment hired an indie game developer to create a video game series based on the myths and rumors of Fazbear's Entertainment's past, which at first they lied about, saying they were just an employee gone rogue. They created a delivery business and began to work on a virtual reality game, but after receiving and then scanning real animatronic code from the old machines, the development team started to run into a few problems, a few glitches, starting with Jeremy beginning to be taken over by an anomaly, a glitch in the game which ended up driving him crazy by seemingly entering his mind, only for him to cut his own face off with a guillotine paper slicer in order to stop the anomaly from taking control. After this death, Fazbear Entertainment was scared that they were going to retrieve a lawsuit, but like they always do, they continued either way. Tape Girl ends up taking over Jeremy's work, picking up where he left off within the first development team. Vanessa is assumed to be the main protagonist of FNAF Help Wanted, coming from the second development team, only to be taken over by Glitchtrap. After this, Vanessa goes to therapy for a while, the delivery service and VR games were a massive success, Fazbear Entertainment opened up Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, and the rest of FNAF Security Breach plays out, and we're done. Until another FNAF game releases. As you can tell, the last bit there was a bit speedy simply because we don't have everything yet. We don't know much, and the story of Security Breach, as well as what happens in between VR and Security Breach, is continuing to be unraveled. The books and the movies are separate universes, and although the books don't actually take place in the main game universe, they help us understand the concepts and ideas of how this world of FNAF actually works, such as things like Remnant, two shells sharing one body, etc. But I will add that although the main book trilogy and the Fazbear's Fright series aren't canon / don't take place in the game universe, the one book that is canon to the game universe is the Survival Logbook. Quickly listing them off here, the other companies and brands of the FNAF universe which we know of are Silver Parasol Games, the first development team for the VR game, Chica's Party World, El Chip's Fiesta Buffet, Handyman's Robotic and Unit Repair System, Fizz Time Pop Incorporated, Marty's Plungers LCC, Wacky Warp Paste Incorporated, Lally's Lollies Incorporated, Flo's Glossy Floss Incorporated, and finally, Juniors, maybe. Or we don't know if it represents a previous FNAF location or is just its own thing. We really don't know. For some reason, no one can solve Juniors, although we do know that it takes place later that night. Okay, that's everything you need to know about Five Nights at Freddy's, including the brands you didn't need to know. The main people who helped me research and discuss the timeline for days on end are in the description below. And of course, links to the FNAF Reddit and Discord, which a lot of people from there did help check this timeline and see if things would contradict it. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and yeah, I'll see you all soon. Bye!